14 vegetables that grow like fruit trees, long-living crops for easy, lasting harvests. Imagine planting vegetables just once, then watching them come back season after season like fruit trees, giving you easy, lasting harvests year after year. That's the magic of perennial vegetables, hardy, productive plants with deep roots that shade weeds, build soil structure, and save you time and effort in the garden because they don't need to be replanted every season. From tender stalks in spring to rich greens in summer and nutritious roots in fall, these long-living crops become reliable partners in your garden, helping you enjoy fresh, homegrown food with less to do and more to savor. One, asparagus, a decade of spring harvests. Asparagus is a classic perennial vegetable that feels more like planting a food tree than tending an annual patch. Once crowns are planted in rich, well-drained soil, these plants take a couple of seasons to settle in, but after that the same bed can produce tender spears every spring for 10 years or more. Harvesting asparagus is seasonal art. You let the plants grow tall ferns in their first year so they can build strong roots, then come back year after year with delicious fresh stalks. This long-lasting crop doesn't need to be replanted each spring like lettuce or beans, giving you years of reliable yield with less annual work. For gardeners who love planning ahead, asparagus rewards patience with decades of harvests that get better as the bed matures. Two, rhubarb, tart stalks that keep coming back. Rhubarb is another perennial vegetable that returns year after year without replanting, producing bright, crunchy stalks perfect for pies, jams, and sauces. Once established in a cool, partly sunny spot, rhubarb doesn't need to be replanted. It simply emerges each spring with impressive leafy stalks. In the first seasons after planting, most gardeners let the plant focus on growing strong roots rather than harvesting heavily, so future yields are abundant. After that, you can pick plenty of stalks seasonally, enjoying its bold, tart flavor again and again. Unlike quick annual greens, rhubarb becomes a long-term centerpiece in a perennial garden, reliably popping up in the same place year after year. This makes it ideal for edible landscapes where you want dependable crops with minimal replanting or fuss. 3. Jerusalem artichokes, sunflowers with edible roots. Jerusalem artichokes, also called sunchokes, are perennial sunflower relatives that spread over time, making them feel more like shrubs than seasonal vegetables. Once planted, they produce knobby, sweet tubers each year that you can harvest for roasting, mashing, or pickling without needing to sow seed annually. What makes these plants special is their persistence. The same patch can keep producing tubers year after year if left undisturbed, saving you time and effort on yearly planting. Their tall sunflower-like stalks also add height and beauty to the edible garden. Because Jerusalem artichokes regrow from underground tubers, they are a perfect choice for gardeners who want a low-maintenance perennial root crop. Four, horseradish, spicy roots that return each year. Horseradish is a hardy perennial whose spicy, pungent roots return reliably each season once planted in fertile soil. This robust vegetable doesn't need to be replanted annually. You dig the roots when you want them and leave enough behind so the plant continues growing year after year. It's a great choice for gardeners who enjoy strong, bold flavors in sauces, condiments, and cooking, because once the plant establishes itself, it will keep giving fresh roots with very little maintenance. As the seasons roll by, It's almost like having a permanent patch of fiery flavor at your fingertips. Because horseradish spreads slowly and persists in the same place, it feels more like a long-term food shrub than a vegetable you sow each spring. This means you get years of harvests without the usual yearly planting chores. 5. Tree collards, evergreen greens for long-term harvest. Tree collards are perennial leafy greens that behave more like small shrubs than typical kale or spinach, growing upright and lasting for years. Once the plant is established, you can harvest nutritious leaves from the same plant season after season without replanting. Their tall, sturdy stems can reach impressive heights, and each harvest encourages new growth so the plant continues producing lush greens over multiple seasons. Because they live so long, tree collards become a staple of perennial vegetable gardens where long-lasting, reliable greens are important. Gardeners love these plants because they combine the leafy goodness of traditional greens with the longevity you'd expect from shrub-like edibles. It has a simple way to keep a supply of vibrant leaves right in your garden year after year. 6. Egyptian walking onions, onions that plant themselves. Egyptian walking onions, also known as tree onions or walking onions, are unique perennial onions that essentially plant themselves as they grow. Tiny bulblets form at the top of the stems, and when these bend down to the soil, they root and sprout new plants. A self-propagating cycle you don't have to repeat by hand. Once you set them in the ground, they'll keep coming back year after year with minimal effort, giving you onion greens and bulbs from the same patch without annual sowing. You can snip young shoots in spring or harvest bulbs in fall, all from this persistent plant that keeps spreading gently in your garden. For gardeners who want perennial aromatics that feel alive and playful in the landscape, walking onions are perfect. They grow and multiply over time, turning a single planting into a thriving stand you enjoy season after season. 7. Chaya, tree spinach, woody greens that last. Chaya, often called tree spinach, is a tropical perennial green that grows into a woody shrub with broad, nutrient-rich leaves you can harvest for years. Once established in warm climates, chaya pops up again each season without needing replanting, offering a continuous supply of greens for soups, stir-fries, and stews. Unlike annual spinach that you plant every season, chaya behaves more like a long-lasting leafy tree that becomes part of your garden landscape. Because it keeps growing and producing from the same plant, it's a favorite in perennial vegetable gardens where reliability and ease matter. This sturdy, resilient green gives you abundant leaves with very little fuss once it's comfortable in your garden. That makes chaya a true perennial vegetable powerhouse, ideal for harvests that keep coming year after year. 8. Globe artichokes, big buds that keep coming back. Globe artichokes are perennial vegetables that produce large edible buds year after year once planted in rich, well-drained soil. This striking crop grows tall, sculptural foliage and gives you delicious immature flower buds that can be steamed, grilled, or baked without needing to replant each season. Unlike typical annual produce, globe artichokes behave more like shrubs. You plant them once, prepare their space carefully, and then enjoy harvest for several seasons. They prefer sunny positions with plenty of water and organic matter, and over time the clumps get stronger and more productive, rewarding your long-term effort. Because artichokes are a perennial staple in many edible gardens, they save you the annual job of sowing seeds or transplanting seedlings. 9. Perennial leeks, mild allium that lives on. Perennial leeks are a member of the allium family that can remain in the garden for multiple years, producing mild, onion-like stalks without replanting. Unlike annual onions and leeks that are grown from seed or sets each season, these perennial forms sprout from the same roots year after year, giving you reliable harvests over time. Once they are established in a sunny, fertile spot with good drainage, perennial leeks require minimal maintenance aside from watering and occasional thinning. They steadily form clumps of flavorful stalks that you can harvest as needed, making them a low-effort, long-lasting vegetable in your garden. Because these leeks come back on their own, they save you from annual sowing and transplanting chores. Year after year, they quietly strengthen their root networks and continue offering tender stalks that are perfect in soups, sautés, and sautés, making them feel more like a perennial herb than a typical vegetable. Perennial chives, onion flavor for years. Perennial chives are aromatic herbs in the allium family that return reliably every year, sprouting fresh green shoots you can snip for flavor. Once established in a sunny or partly sunny spot, these clumps of thin foliage grow back each season without replanting, giving you years of mild onion taste for cooking. Their delicate purple flowers also add color to the garden and attract pollinators. While the foliage continues to replenish itself, gardeners love chives because they are nearly effortless. You plant them once, harvest the leaves whenever you need a burst of flavor, and they keep growing back. Chives are perfect for edging beds, growing at the front of perennial borders, or keeping in containers where they brighten up patios and balconies. Sea kale, bold greens that return each spring. Sea kale is a less common but excellent perennial vegetable with broad, cabbage-like leaves that grow back annually from the same plant. Once it becomes established in a sunny spot with well-drained soil, sea kale sends up fresh shoots each spring that you can harvest like leafy greens or tender stems before flowering. Unlike annual kale varieties that you sow every year, sea kale develops a deep root system that supports year-after-year emergence without replanting. Its leaves have rich, earthy flavor and can be steamed, sautéed, or added to hearty dishes just like other brassica greens. Because it keeps regenerating from its roots, sea kale acts more like a reliable perennial shrub than a short-lived garden crop. Good King Henry, ancient green that keeps growing. Good King Henry is a truly perennial leafy green that has been grown for centuries as a reliable source of tender shoots and leaves. Once you plant it in a sunny, fertile space, this hardy green comes back every year from the same roots, offering harvests without needing to start from scratch each season. Its young shoots can be used like asparagus, while the mature leaves make great additions to soups, sautés, or mixed greens. Unlike typical annual greens, Good King Henry remains in place year after year, slowly expanding and strengthening, delivering dependable harvests for years. Gardeners who love perennial vegetables appreciate how Good King Henry bridges the gap between old-world tradition and modern edible landscapes. Because it keeps returning with tender growth, it feels more like managing a resilient perennial shrub than planting a short-term crop. 13. Turkish rocket peppery greens that don't quit. Turkish rocket is a perennial leafy vegetable with a peppery bite that returns each growing season from the same roots. Once planted in a sunny spot with good soil, it sends up fresh, spicy greens year after year without replanting, giving you a long-term source of vibrant leaves perfect for salads or cooking. Its bold flavor makes it a fun alternative to annual salad greens, and because it's perennial, you only need to plant it once to enjoy multiple harvests. The plant's deep root system helps it survive through seasons and continue sprouting new foliage when spring arrives. Gardeners love Turkish rocket because it adds zest and variety to perennial vegetable beds without requiring yearly sowing. With minimal care beyond occasional watering and harvesting, this spirited green keeps returning, feeling more like a reliable edible landscape perennial than a fleeting seasonal crop. 14. Sorrel, tangy perennial leaf harvest. Sorrel is a classic perennial leafy vegetable known for its bright, lemony flavor and reliable yearly regrowth. Once established in moist, well-drained soil, sorrel sends up fresh, tangy leaves each season that are perfect for soups, sauces, salads, and herbal infusions without needing to plant new seeds every year. Unlike annual greens that you sow each spring, sorrel overwinter and reappear early when temperatures warm, giving you some of the first harvests of the season. Its deep roots help it survive through winters and come back with vigor, making it a favorite perennial green among gardeners. Because of this dependable return, sorrel feels more like a permanent edible shrub in your garden than a short-lived vegetable crop. You plant it once, nurture it lightly, and enjoy its tangy harvests year after year with minimal effort.